We ride together, we die together. Bad boys for life. Get busy living, or get busy dying.
Gang first, last. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Welcome to Brews and Reviews with Mick and Pat. I'm Mick.
And I'm Pat.
And each week we sit down with you degenerates to pretend we're certified cicerones and cinephiles.
That is right. So grab a cold one and join us as we review Horse and Dragon's Midnight Stallion and give our first take on Netflix's The Night Agent.
And if you've been with us before, you know what time it is.
Release the Kraken!
Ooh.
little head there on that one. Oh.
That is thick.
Yeah, bro. This is like a... Wow. Like, it's so thick, I feel like the mics could pick us up having to swallow that.
Yeah.
Like we're swallowing pudding.
We're swallowing the spittle that gathers on the inside of an old man's lips on a dry day.
What the I'm trying to enjoy this here. And now all I can think about it being old man dip spit.
No, not the dip spit, but you know,
this now look. Tell me.
Yeah, it's this beer is dark, but you know that little white spittle that gets like right in the corner of the mouth.
Can we not?
And
we have one good time?
It's always an old man who's doing it though, and you're stuck with a conversation with him for like 45 minutes. You just want to flick it out of there because it's just driving you nuts. Make us disturbed and disappointed. Oh man, this is the Midnight Stallion, and it's thick.
That's what your mother was saying last night.
The man alive. This comes in a fancy bottle, like it's wax dipped, and
yeah, it's like silver silly putty wax dip.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a nice wax.
Yeah, it does have a midnight star shining wax color, but it's a bourbon and rye aged whiskey, barrel aged.
Well, it's beer, not.
Well, it's bourbon and rye whiskey barrel aged.
Yeah. You just had
put the comma in the wrong spot. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was reading that right. Yeah, it's an imperial dark lager. What else do we have on here? It is, these come in a pint and a half. How many? Okay. It's 12 ounces in a pint.
Yeah,
something like that.
I'm numbered out today, dog.
Numbered out. Your brain's melted.
Yeah. I numbered real hard today at work.
It's a 8% by alcohol volume.
Which, honestly, it's so smooth and creamy that you do not taste that.
Right.
Like, you could pour this in a glass and tell me it was like carbonated chocolate milk, and I'd believe you.
Yep. What else do they have on here? This is...
We got the notes of flavor that they're going for. Because I really don't taste the whiskey.
We do. I kind of did after my second.
Which isn't an issue for me, you know? I don't mind the subtlety.
I can feel it on the top of the back of the roof of my mouth.
Oh, okay, I'll be sure when we swish test to try to find it.
But noted, we've been checking when these have been bottled, and this has been written on Sharpie, November 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And it is currently March 2023, so not that long.
Not
right?
that long at all.
Not that long on there. They say this full-bodied Imperial Dark Lager, aged for 3 months in bourbon and rye whiskey casks from Old Elk Distillery in Foco, starts strong with a hint of roast, rye, and smokiness in its base. Notes of black cherry, vanilla, and oak shine through as you sip, accompanied by a slight rye spice, followed by a dry, clean finish.
Okay.
That's a lot of flavors.
I'm going to have to look at that while I sip it to make sure I'm looking for the right, for all these.
But Horse and Dragon is out of Fort Collins, Colorado. They've been around since 2014.
One of the smaller, more established ones, right? You know, like they don't do like brewery tours, but
Right. I think their brewery tour is like you would walk to the back of this
Yeah.
like metal building and they'd be like,
Here
there
it is.
is where we do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're
And that's Kyle, and he's the guy.
Yep. And they've stayed. I think they've stayed small in a good way, but
Yeah.
but their product has gotten out there.
Yeah. I really wonder. Well, you know what? I'll just shut up so that way you can read it because I bet you'll answer it. I gotta imagine they've really established more operations out of state for brewing and bottling because I have seen their stuff. Like, pretty sure I've seen Sad Panda somewhere in California when I was there.
Yeah, I think that's been one of their big ones that's
Yeah.
gotten out there. And this feels, if you've had Sad Panda before, this is like
Same vein.
Yeah, this is Sad Panda's, I don't know, mysterious uncle.
I was going to
Not
say
crazy.
black cousin.
Yeah, not like not like crazy uncle, but like that uncle you've always been like, is he, what's he into? I don't know what his deal is. He's mysterious, so
Turns out to be your dad.
turns out to be your dad. Yeah. I think they only have their one spot here in Fort Collins.
That's where they do everything?
Everything, dude. I think
Wow.
that they've gone broad.
Dude, that's so efficient.
And so
Because the size of their operation's not even close to New Belgium. But I feel like they're not, maybe they're not in as many stores, but they're pretty far reaching. They're
Right.
well known.
yeah, they're trying to think of the other big one for them, like another flagship of theirs.
Isn't it a red ale? I feel like they have a red ale that's always heavily marketed going into the fall.
Yeah, the Fire Captain.
Yeah.
Yep.
That one is a good ale. I will say
Mhm.
that. Like that's an ale I don't mind.
Yeah, and so they do a lot of like small batch stuff, and then it seems like once if they have a small batch it hits well, then they kind of experiment with it, keep going. And like I said, established in 2014, I believe by a husband and wife, not brother and sister, share the same last name. Never know.
Husband and wife and brother and sister.
Yeah, yep. And it says they've been lifelong lovers. Oh no, lifelong craft beer lovers. Carol and Tim. And their webpage, what I like about it, it's like basically all pictures of their staff and like family and like community events. And their like about us page looks like it's just like a collage of photos and little like it'll name people by name. Like here's Chris from Malt's giving extra love to some of their craft malt. It's just like little pictures of all their people like
That's
loving
cool.
their jobs and having fun. And so
Keeping that small brewery feel.
small brewery feel. They don't feel like pretentious, like, yeah, one of their things is they do reduce environmental impact, but I don't know. It feels like that's not like their
identity.
yeah, or like their like a token, just like trait you got to throw in there, whatever.
Yeah.
Because there's pictures of them all throughout the community and at events. So, Horse and Dragon, liked them for a long time myself, but I've never had this, the Midnight Stallion.
Yeah, this is
All
my
right.
first time having it too.
Is it time for the swish test?
All right, folks. You know what to do. Take a good tablespoon amount. Let it go. Slide to the back of your tongue. Swish it around and then push it through those front teeth.
I gotta read
Oh,
the
wow.
ingredients again.
Bro, okay, all right. I can now say, like, after doing that and then inhaling through my nose,
Mm-hmm.
much more of a whiskey.
Yeah, you got that. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like I took a sip of whiskey 5 minutes ago. Like it's just still there.
I'm just not good with whiskey, so it feels like I just took a sip of whiskey. There's definitely like that, not just the whiskey, though. Like, it's not overpowering. Like, I definitely felt like the first taste that really stood out is like kind of that, mix of spices. I want to say, like some cinnamon, nutmeggy almost.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't really think I get much of the cherry or black cherry that they have there, but I do think the overall like flavor throughout the whole thing is the vanilla. Like
Mhm.
I do feel like that vanilla is what makes you feel like, oh, this is a creamy, kind of almost sweet beer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not sweet in a bad way. It's sweet in a very nice, subtle way where that sweetness is kind of, it's part of the first taste you have, and it's also part of the last taste you have. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I mean, of a lot of the beers we try, I feel like they really do touch on what they're going for.
Right. They didn't just like add stuff in here to
Yeah.
to make a list. Yeah, and I think I couldn't have picked out Old Elk like if someone asked me.
Yeah.
But knowing that it's in there, I can it's there. I've had Old Elk. It's also a local distillery, and I've had it, enough times, and they don't have a lot of like variety to their stuff. It's just Old Elk, and they have a couple different like versions of how long it's been aged.
Yeah.
And so that I can taste that like that high quality in there of that bourbon whiskey.
Bro, speaking of beer,
Mm-hmm.
everybody tune into one of our later episodes, because I would love to hear your thoughts on Bud Light's partnership with Dylan Mulvaney.
Oh, they partnered up.
Yeah, Dylan's like on the cans of the beer.
Really?
Yeah. I just thought that was kind of a, hey, you know what? Like, go for it. Like, say, like, you're pro, LGBTQ trans rights. That's fine. But I'm just like, dude, I don't know a lot of guys that drink Bud Light that want Dylan Mulvaney on the can. I'll be honest. Like, the crowd that drinks Bud Light,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even drink Bud Light, man. And I'm just like, I can't imagine that being the thing that, like, makes you pick it over a Coors.
And if you think of like traditional, like not traditional, but like 1980s football poster Bud Light girls, I've seen some Hishis that kind of fit the bill on that spectrum.
I don't think you can say that.
I've seen,
I don't think you can say
I'm
that.
saying it though. All I'm saying is,
we don't mean that in a derogatory way. We really don't.
I'm saying I've seen more objectively attractive trans people.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I think, like I said, let's get into it on our actual podcast. I just want this to be an Easter egg.
All right.
Because I just remember seeing that and I was like, talk about not knowing your audience, dog.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, what are you thinking about the overall quality, consistency kind of profile of this? Like, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge. What is this, lager? This isn't a lager.
It is a lager, an
It is a
imperial
lager.
dark lager.
I'm not the biggest dark lager guy. I know my father-in-law is. He loves them, and I feel like this is like cream of the crop. Like, I feel like he'd love this. And I mean, of the ones I've had, this is definitely a notable, like, if someone's like, oh yeah, man, for my birthday, just give me a good lager.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, I would easily grab this as a birthday gift. This is delicious, and it comes in a nice package.
Yep, it's good gift beer, and I think that it has it's got a lot in there when you drink it, and it's not like you're not going to be crushing these cans.
No.
This is
It's kind of
sit and sip
it's
after dinner.
I feel like this is what Sad Panda should be billed as too, because I don't want to drink a 6-pack of Sad Panda.
No,
I might have one or two, and then I'm like, like, it's a little too much, man. You kind of feel it in your veins, like you feel it in your arteries almost.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like if you've ever had a breve, coffee drink.
Yeah, but then pour in a Bud Light.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
Yeah,
not a Bud Light, but it's same concept.
Adding alcohol into that heavy bread that you just drank.
Yeah,
also
foamy coffee. All that said, I think I actually prefer this to the Sad Panda. I mean, I've had Sad Panda a lot. I do enjoy it, but I feel like I would enjoy drinking this. Like, if this was the beer that was in the fridge, and it was like what we had to drink for the day.
Yeah.
Because we're roof chilling.
Mm-hmm.
I'd prefer this one over the Panda.
Yeah, I think this one is more elite. It's that next level
Elite
of like the craft that went into making this.
Yeah.
And I think it shows, one, in the flavor, but two, in the price tag.
Speaking of elite, if any of our listeners have Vigilant Vigilance Elite Gummy Bears. Send them to us.
Yes.
They're sold out, and I just keep on seeing Sean Ryan give them away on his podcast. And I'm like, there's no way these are that good.
I
Like,
know,
this is
dude.
so silly.
And everybody comes on there is like,
oh,
like,
gummy bears. Okay.
yeah, or they're also like, oh, hell yeah, bro. Like, I couldn't wait to get another pack of these things.
Yeah, because they sell out so quick, and apparently they are the best gummy bears ever. I was reading
Oh
the
my
reviews
God.
and like just the way people lose their minds for them. But so if you got a pack and you love us, send them, and we'll be sure to feed Craig a couple.
Yeah.
He'd be thankful. I think Craig and I have turned over a new leaf, man. I'll be honest. Yeah, we
Really been
spent
spending some
together.
time with them.
Yeah,
That's
and
good. No go.
I haven't hated myself. No, no go karting yet.
Mm.
He's got to earn that. Well, not him.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be earned by the people.
Yep. Mm.
All right, what do you want to give this thing?
Yeah, dude, I'm giving it a one, like a solid 1 thumb up, and it's bordering on 2.
It
me.
is.
It's
It
like
is,
really
isn't it?
bordering on 2 for me because Sad Panda's also like, God, you know what? I'm giving it 2 thumbs up
Yeah.
because I feel like I'm like reserving it for something else. But why should this one have to suffer just because I'm trying to save these things, be stingy? You know, like.
Here's the thing. I'm thinking of lagers. I'm trying to go through my brain of
Yeah.
every lager because I've had quite a bit of craft beer,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't think of a lager that I enjoyed more, like that had a better like overall profile, and I thought was like just a good beer. So, dude, it's a first.
I'm giving it 2 thumbs.
I'm giving it 2 thumbs.
All right.
This is our first 4 thumbs up beer. You heard that right. And if you want to see our full review of it, go ahead and check it out on Untapped. I'll leave a good, nice quote from the podcast describing the beer, and you'll see that it is our first 5 out of 5 stars, 4 thumbs up. And that should be as confusing as it sounds.
Yeah.
Smoke break.
Smoke break.
Hey, Ken, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you can put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three-Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick and Pat show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution.
Yeah, it is. I think that even if you don't like this type of beer, you'll be able to at least appreciate like all the flavors and the quality in it.
I am that person who doesn't like this type of beer usually. Like, it usually can trigger kind of my like nausea, gag reflex of like,
Mm-hmm.
the whiskey aged lagers often are just too liquory,
Mm-hmm.
too spirity, and it
Mhm.
kind of makes me nauseous. But this is palatable in a really good way.
And I think lots of mass-produced whiskey aged stuff really isn't. The whiskey part feels like it's just a gimmick,
Yeah,
and whereas in this, like, it really does come through. Like the good qualities of that whiskey come through. So, 4 thumbs, huh?
4 thumbs, man. And it's kind of weird because I don't think it's like a excellent perfect beer, but I do
Right.
think it's as good as I've ever had in the lager category. And that's kind of how I'm giving these thumbs up. It's like, can I think of a better beer in this category of beer?
Right.
So I would say it's a great first lager too. If like a dark lager, if someone hasn't had an aged dark lager, it's a good first one.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Hey. Oh, what is that? Night action. What's the code? Pecker. Wood. Johnson. What's your agent name? Gazelle. Agents are on their way. That's right. We're talking about the night agent.
Yep.
And I gotta say, I was watching it, and this is these are our first takes. This is in a series summary, right, folks? So don't get your panties in knickers since we're not going to go over the whole series. We're really only talking about our first impressions of the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
But I was watching, and I was like, oh, this kind of feels like everything I've seen before until that phone rang, and then my blood started pumping. My blood level actually like spiked. And I was like, oh, this is sick.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like the intensity of, the night action code words and all that. Like it felt very 80s, 90s CIA.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I thought it was a good start to at least getting me wanting to watch the rest of the episode. You know what I mean? To want to give it the rest of a try. But yeah, so before we kind of get into our first takes, I'm gonna just go over a brief synopsis of the show and kind of shout out like creators and actors and actresses and all that, so we can give them their moment of recognition. But Night Agent, it is on Netflix. It just released. The whole first season dropped all at one time. It is the #1 show on Netflix right now. If you're a cinephile like myself and check out IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes, you'll see it's right up there with popularity. A lot of people looking it up, looking up the actors and actresses, trying to see who's in the show. So it's seen, I would say, maybe not necessarily success. Like, it's too early to tell, right? Not everyone's opinions are all the way in, but it's seeing a lot of buzz. The creator is Sean Ryan, not that Sean Ryan, not the Navy SEAL former CIA agent Sean Ryan, which literally I thought was when I first saw the name.
It was up his alley.
Yeah, it would be totally something I could imagine him putting money into.
Mm-hmm.
But it is Sean Ryan, show writer, creator, producer. He produced some hits like The Shield, if you've ever seen that. That was a big deal on FX about a corrupt cop. And I think it took place in Detroit. I can't remember. I never watched it, but it always seemed a little too adult for me when I was in like elementary school. And it was always just like bald, wrinkly, angry cop looking at the camera. And I was like, oh, that looks scary. Yeah. He also produced SWAT, the show, and a show called Timeless. All of them have pretty high ratings among IMDb. The lead actor for this, who portrays Peter Sutherland, is Gabriel Basso. He's not really known for much yet. He was in the movie Super 8, directed by Steven Spielberg, which was like kind of like a Stranger Things movie before Stranger Things. If you like Stranger Things, you should check out Super 8. It's pretty great, like nostalgia 60s sci-fi alien movie.
At that time, he would have been like high school.
He would
have been end of high school in Super 8. 2011.
Yeah. Because I was in high school. I went and saw that movie in high school with my nana.
He was born in 94.
Yep. So he's a young guy in the scene, but he was also in a movie called The Kings of Summer, which I've always heard good things about. I heard it was kind of like a 2000 or like mid 2000s Dazed and Confused. Like it was kind of like that like vibe, right? Supporting cast: Hong Chow, who's she's blowing up right now because she was in the, like, I would say, dark comedy horror The Menu, which if you haven't seen, I recommend. It was a really good, entertaining, esoteric film, very like aware of its commentary and poking fun at it itself. And then The Whale, which just got a ton of Academy Awards. Brendan Fraser as the lead. I think Hong Chow actually got nominated and might have won an award as well for supporting actress. But then there's Lucien Buchanan. Lucien Buchanan. I don't really know how to pronounce her name, but she is a supporting actress in the show, or female lead. She has been in a couple things, not really anything of crazy note. Something called The New Legends of Monkey she was in a lot, and it looks like live action New Zealand version of The Last Airbender, but
Okay.
like with a monkey man.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not going to diss on it. It looked like it was a successful kids TV show.
Yeah.
And then Robert Patrick, who I got to throw this out there because I love Robert Patrick. I think he's an incredibly criminally underrated actor. No one knows him by name, but you know him when I say he's the T-1000 from Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Yeah, he's the liquid metal cop Terminator. And he was also in the Peacemaker TV show recently with John Cena.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he's great. I think he's definitely like typecast in this show as furrowed eyebrows director of the FBI and kind of, a little sus. But so that's our supporting cast in the show. What's the plot? What's the plot summary, Pat? Well, brief synopsis from the first episode is something clandestine is occurring within the White House, and some agents for this clandestine operation known as the Night Action. They are some night agents, I believe, are briefly read in that they are onto something, and they know something's going to happen soon, and they don't know who they can trust in the White House, and then they're dead. And their niece, played by Lucienne, I think it's Lucienne. She is kind of down on her luck, former Silicon Valley CEO, like bankrupt, the whole company's gone, but she's a tech gal. Her skills are in tech, cybersecurity, and but she's not really like got anything to do with federal government. Doesn't even know that her aunt and uncle were these agents, and she kind of has to take their last words of warning and kind of information and try to put the clues together to figure out what's going on, because after this happens, Gabriel Basso kind of helps her escape and rescue her, and they start trying to work together with some contacts in the White House, not really sure who they can trust, but trying to figure out who is up to no good in the White House, who was the one that orchestrated the death of her aunt and uncle, and who is likely up to something. You're not entirely sure what the plot, like it doesn't tell you like what the big bad thing is going to be. Are they going to try to kill a president? Are they going to try to, launch nukes? Are they secret Soviet agents? Are they, whatever? Like it doesn't give it away in the first episode, which I liked.
Right.
I like that part, but something's up to no good. And Lucienne and Gabriel Basso are on the case. Gabriel, kind of night shift desk worker FBI guy, as a Peter Sutherland. He's got a real boy next door look to him.
Yeah.
It's really believable. Like it's working for him in the show.
Yeah. I think even like in the opening of the show, he's like, "Ma'am, take my seat on the subway."
Yeah, he's kind of
like,
Boy Scoutish.
Yeah, he's very Boy Scoutish.
And you're just like, it's almost to the point where it's like, it's like it's endearing, but it's almost cringe. Like if you met him in real life, you'd be like, dude, fucking unwind your panties and chill. You know what I mean? Like he's a little. I mean, but I think he's supposed to be. He's pretty straight cut.
Right.
Straight cut. Take orders. Work your way up in the FBI. And yes ma'am, no sir, but it works for the character, I think. But yeah, so that's kind of brief summary, going over things, kind of the first episode hook to get you in to see if you want to watch the rest of the episode and kind of keep going forward. And all I said, Pat, what do you think, man? What were your first impressions? Let's start like tit and all the way to tat. What kind of from the beginning, how do you feel about the episode, how it kicked off? It was kind of stereotype, quick rush in to get us to know a main character, but
Yep, which I did like right off the bat. They did rush right in where it's like, I think 2 minutes in, the bomb is like in play. Right?
I think under 2 minutes.
Right. I mean, it's
I think
fast.
it's like 30 seconds. You see the bomb get planted.
Yeah, you see it get planted, but like
bomb is planted.
But it felt like
all my Counter-Strike guys.
It felt like when the lead up to that, I was like, oh, it's just gonna be like because he is Boy Scouty, he's just gonna like open it up and it's like,
Good thing I have my clippers here.
yeah. He's gonna open or no. I thought it was gonna be like no bomb.
Oh,
like,
no bomb.
Like he's like, he's kind of paranoid, like always just checking, But then I was like, oh shoot, all right, bomb. Like let's go. And he was already like, he already saved like however many people's lives. One person died in a subway bombing. Not so bad on the stats there.
Yeah.
What could happen?
Did pretty good.
But I think that so I did like that like fast ramp up to action, and lots of shows do kick that off just to hook you. But I felt like it did carry it like a good pace through, and it wasn't just action packed the whole time, but there was just always like a pressing matter. There's always like something coming, there's a reason to like keep moving forward.
It is really trying, I think, to keep the momentum that like a show like 24 had.
I was just about to say the same thing. Like, yeah, that 24, where it's like, in 24 hours of one day, there's just a lot of things go down. And a lot of like different things are layered in already. Maybe similar to 24, where like we're only with them for like really like besides the flash, like the start of the show, the jump forward, like we're with them for like a day.
Yeah.
And it shows it's, there's multiple people after him. It layers in. I do like the layers it's throwing in this story of, his father was a disgraced FBI agent who his name still isn't cleared yet. He's working on that. He's become a disgraced FBI agent in part,
because of his dad.
Because of his dad, but also because he actually he's being blamed some people blamed him for the bombing on the train.
Yeah.
So
which kind of, I'll be honest, almost feels like the weakest part of the story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like, feels a little
like
really? Two guys are jumping him over I've never heard of that in my life.
Right. And like, maybe if they'd set it up for him to look like a traitor more, like let's say there was some camera, like some CCTV footage of him setting the bag down, and that's all there was. And so it looks like he did it, whatever. Something to kind of, make him actually seem like a traitor instead of legitimately being the guy who like every witness on that train would be like, no, this dude pulled the lever and got us all off. So that is a weak point, but I do feel like, I don't know if they're going to connect all the stories together at some point, like the dude with the snake tattoo on his side of his hip who was the bomb planter all the way forward to the terrorist now.
Yeah, we'll see who that is eventually.
And like, but is that the same person who's like working to undermine America with these other agents and stuff? And so, or is it just a total side plot? Was those the guys who were after his dad? Are any of these people related to his dad's story?
Yeah.
Probably, but they get to, the world is their canvas out there with these next 9 episodes to either develop all those stories on their own or to bring them together. And so I think what I liked about it was the parts where it had some like old school or traditional feeling to it. And like they weren't forcing they weren't trying to do something like brave new thing, but they were adding.
It doesn't feel like they're trying to break a mold. It feels like they're trying to deliver you exactly what you ordered out of the mold.
Right. Yeah. And but not so much that it's just like the same. It's not necessarily the same old thing, which it could head that way very fast.
See, I'm gonna spoil it, I think, for some people.
Yeah.
Because some people out there have probably been lucky enough to watch a show. It's on Netflix. It's criminally underrated. I feel like a good amount of people watched it but forgot about it just because it was so brief. And there's been so much time between it and the rumored season 2. There's this phenomenal show on Netflix called Bodyguard. It was made in conjunction with the BBC network.
Yep.
And oh gosh, what's his name? Richard Patterson. No, not Patterson. Richard. He's Robert Stark. And Game of Thrones.
Oh, I thought you started just throwing names.
Richard
out there.
Madden.
Richard Madden.
Richard Madden is. Richard Madden is. Hear me out here. Okay, This is gonna sound crazy. You've never seen the show before. It came out years ago, right, Pat?
I've seen it.
Oh, you've seen Bodyguard?
I've seen the first episode.
Okay, tell me this isn't Bodyguard.
Yeah, it's Bodyguard.
This is Bodyguard, and I will say this: like, I think it's American
without like what was her name? Hung
Chow.
Hung Chow, without like Hung Chow like sexually objectifying him yet.
Yeah.
Maybe it's yet to be seen. But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that happens in Bodyguard, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he's like
he's man meat, bro.
Yeah, dude.
He's definitely man meat. And I tell you what, bro, I rewatched Bodyguard ironically right before we watched this.
Okay.
And I took my my buddy JB through it because he had never seen the show. Yeah, bro, the whole time we were just crushing on Richard Madden, just about freaking how hot he is, dude. We're like, this is so wrong, dude. Imagine these were flipped, like
Oh yeah, like dude, yeah, you have this hot just bombshell woman who's just like
but she's a woman with her own career. She's stand up, she's successful.
But there's lots of scenes like him with like his shirt off with his near his boss, and she's like, like
I actually don't think that in the show they actually do too much shirt off scenes. They do show his butt a good amount. Okay, I gotta be honest, bro. I gotta give the guy credit. He's got a great ass, man.
He got a sculpted hiney.
Yeah, he does. But it is a really good show that definitely I think felt very original when I watched it. Like I still don't think there's anything that in 6 episodes of TV got my adrenaline that high. Like that show, by the end of that show, and I won't spoil it because I want you to watch the whole thing.
I need to watch it then, I guess.
By the end of it, bro, like I remember the last episode, I felt like I was gonna throw up, man. Like the adrenaline in the final episode is nuts. The tension is like so heavy, and this show I feel like is really trying its best to let Bodyguard be an inspiration kind of groundwork. But not like I feel like it's losing a little bit of identity because there's so much that it's like following suit and like these other great shows that I kind of am wondering like if it will get muddy down the line. And I think that's my biggest hesitation is like while I'm watching it right now, I'm like, is this thing gonna be like, yeah, but we're not Bodyguard. It's so because we have all this other stuff going on, and is it just gonna get kind of foggy and messy as the show goes on and not really be wrapped up well?
Right, and because
that is, I'll say, the biggest criticism that Bodyguard receives from people who watched it was there was a couple things that I felt like they didn't wrap up well. Like I understand, like they did it, but it just felt like it wasn't perfect. And that's always like the number one critique of that show.
Yeah, and I feel like in general, pilots can bring it because in a pilot you can have. I'll say this. The difference between filming a pilot and filming a finale is so worlds apart as far as what you have to deliver to the audience. Because for a finale, you have to have this perfectly wrapped, creased Christmas present with the bow on top, just perfect. And like,
bro, in the finale is like when everyone's like, "Oh, we forgot about that plot."
Yeah, exactly.
Quickly,
2-second
scene where it's wrapped up and resolved.
Exactly. And then in a pilot is just like, it's not even Christmas morning. It's just like a random day out there, and your dad just pulls something out from behind the counter, and he's like, "This is yours, son." And you're like, "Oh my gosh, what?" It's just that's the difference. Like, it's so easy because there can be so much mystery in it. You can open up all these things and leave all these potential little trails of stories, and you can have it's just the whole thing is wide open for people to interpret their hopes and dreams of what they want this show to deliver. And so I think it was a good pilot, and it didn't have it did have a cliffhanger, but not like an intense cliffhanger.
It didn't feel like, I mean, and this is the benefit of Netflix. Like Netflix doesn't do pilots, right?
Right.
Like Netflix develops entire seasons and then releases them. It's not like in the old days, like literally pilot episodes could get released and that could be the only episode of the show that ever sees airtime.
Right.
And like, that's just not how it is nowadays. And I think that's kind of like how you feel like when you watch this episode. It doesn't feel like it's trying to bring you in and hopefully enough ratings to watch for next week so we can get this thing on the air. It's just like it feels concise, and it feels good. And I also like that they didn't play all the cards. Like, I mentioned this, but I felt like they didn't play all the cards in the first episode. Like they didn't have Peter and whatever Lucien's character is. They didn't have them immediately go into romance, right?
Right.
Like you can definitely tell there could be an avenue for that,
Right.
but it's not incredibly like. It's not like, oh, they're gonna bone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like they might not bone. They might like just kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not even in this episode, but like maybe in the whole first season, they might only have like a single moment of like romance intimacy
Mm-hmm.
because he's so straight cut Boy Scout and she's not really your typical. She does do damsel in distress, but not like a typical one of like, I'm
Right.
literally here because I'm beautiful and you want to save me.
Right.
She's supposed to bring some backstory and assistance to helping resolve the plot of, I'm sure her cybersecurity skills are going to be used several times in the season, right?
Right.
That said, biggest critiques of the episode, unless there's anything else you want to talk about before we just like start butchering it.
Yeah, no, I think that nothing really comes to mind for it,
Yeah.
to touch on.
I always feel bad saying this.
Mm-hmm.
And, because there's so many factors that could have affected this.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, Lucienne sucks as an actress. Like,
Mm.
she's just not a good actress, man. Like, at least not in this. She could be, and it could have been like, bad writing or something like that.
Mhm.
But like, dude, when they tell her aunt and uncle's dead, and she's like, what? And then they're like, yeah, and she's like wanting to go in and see him. She's like, no, they've been shot, like they were killed, and like no, like no, like no cripple of like just absolute like a wave of grief,
Mhm.
just like oh no, like. And she never. At first, I was like, she's just gonna. Maybe they'll just delay the grief. Like maybe
Mhm.
it'll hit her later on. No, she like the whole episode. It's never like mourning at all. It's just like kind of. She kind of looks like she just has a headache.
Mhm.
She's like, just kind of squinting her eyebrows and
Mhm.
and even like when they're getting shot at, like she doesn't even really have a lot of emotion,
Mhm.
right? Like it's just I don't know. I just think like it's the most distracting part of the show because I feel like Gabriel Basso as Peter does a great job. Like
Mhm.
I feel like he's not an action hero. Like
Right.
he never landed a shot on anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he missed all of his shots.
Mhm. Got his butt kicked in an alleyway at the beginning and then got hit by a car.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That also though, I don't know what the they were going for when he trips over the caution tape.
I think
He jumps and he
yeah.
literally looks like his foot gets hung up on the caution tape. I'm like, bro, wouldn't be real.
what I saw was someone with a major concussion, not tripping but trying to jump
Oh.
and like their head so jacked.
Okay.
That's what I
could
saw
give
because
that.
like the line before that was like, "Sir, you have a major concussion." He's like, "No,
Oh.
I'm fine." And so he's like dopey running out there and like
Yeah.
so I think
But do you know what I'm talking about?
I
Like
do
it totally
know.
looks like he gets
Yeah.
hung up. Like it looks like he tripped on a steel cable.
Yeah.
And not just some yellow caution tape.
Yep. And the other I'd say about Rose's character
Rose. Yeah.
was that like she was like so terrified in the closet, but then like all of a sudden
I thought that was okay.
no like that.
Yeah.
So that was there, but then
Yeah,
like,
yeah, like
but then
in that moment it was
throughout
alright.
the rest of it was kind of like maybe by the time they got to the being like not interrogated but going in to give her statement with the two like FBI White House
Mhm.
directors and chief of staff, she all of a sudden she like had all of her wits about her of like being like playing the long game. I can't trust them, like all this stuff. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like it was like
I keep on waiting for them to like drop that she's autistic or something.
Mm.
Like that's why, or like she's like savant. I don't think that's what's gonna happen.
I was thinking of, I guess maybe this was just the bad acting, but the cues I was getting was that she could be a bad guy, which I don't know
Bro.
why. So maybe that's just the bad acting that was getting me, and that was the cue. But there was just like some little ingenuine things in there that kind of, I was like, huh, what's that about? And so I'm trying to remember what exactly it was that I thought, oh, that could have been like explained why she like maybe was bad, but maybe it's just some bad act.
Yeah, and I would love for it to be that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe like the show comments on it, like, yeah, she never cried when her aunt and uncle died. Maybe that
Mhm.
bitch is in on it.
Like, what if she's the untrusted mole, like or whatever? Like, because I was trying to remember back to like, did her aunt and uncle actually say there was someone in the White House who couldn't be trusted?
They did. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
no, they didn't even say one
No.
person. They said, we don't know who can be trusted.
That they didn't say in the White House, or did they?
They did. They
did
said
say
in the
White
White
House.
House.
Okay,
We don't
so-
know who can be
okay,
trusted in the White
Okay,
House.
I was just wondering if they were just like, we don't know who could be trusted, then she was like, we don't know who we can trust in the White House. But anyways, probably just bad acting, not a deep undercover agent. Will yet to
Yeah.
be seen.
My other criticism is the profanity. It feels like so out of place.
It's forced.
It's so like Hung Chao just being like, just learn to not give a f-. I mean, she doesn't say that, but like
Right.
that's as like crass and like not like in good cadence, you know?
Mhm.
Like the way she says f- just feels so like the
This-
third time they were asking her to say it. Like, no, give me that line one more time. And just like, just don't give a f-. No, I need a little bit more like boss ass. You're like the president's right hand man. Okay, just don't give a f-. And it's like, no, that was too much. Like, dial it back. Well, just don't give a f-. Like, it was just, you know what I mean? It was just
Yeah.
like it always like every time someone swears, you're just like,
And I think they might have
It's so
only
bad.
dropped like F words.
it
That
is.
might have been it.
yeah.
Like there was no build
I
up.
think there's a bullshit, in
right,
there
but
or
like, and
something.
so that being said, it's because this
I don't
show
have a problem with the profanity.
no,
with
but
profanity, it's just
it
like
has to fit, and like because
Yeah.
this show, the whole show felt like this is a show that comes on after American Idol.
yeah, it
The
feels
whole
like,
time you're watching American Idol, there's an ad for it. You're like every time
Yeah.
there's a commercial, there's an ad for after tonight's American Idol season finale.
someone on
Watch the
Criminal Minds is gonna die.
yeah. It's just like watch this
Yeah.
this show,
yeah.
and so it felt like it could definitely fit in that place.
And the violence wasn't
There was like
justifying
Right.
this profanity.
and because that I think that there were two violent scenes that also pulled me out too, because they didn't go there all the way with it.
they didn't commit.
The murder. So the first one would be like the slow hang on the uncle.
I just thought the train bomb should have shown pieces of people.
So
That was the first one.
Well, no, because here's the deal. No, if the train bomb had shown pieces of people, then it would have been like, oh, there's F words and there's all this other stuff going
Yeah.
on. Whereas when it's like, oh, the train bomb's like, they just say somebody died.
One person died, and we didn't even show it.
Right, and it has this Boy Scout guy, and then it goes forward. The uncle, the way the uncle died was like weirdly too violent for anything else that happened, and it wasn't that violent. But for the rest of the show, what
I
it
kept
already set up,
expecting his head to fall off,
right,
like
and
piano wire garrote.
then on the final scene when they kill that nice, sweet, chubby mom, and it's kind of brutal. Like,
I don't know. That felt so
it's-
Criminal Minds to
well,
me, dude.
yeah, but it was like,
She literally goes,
I know, yeah, but it's like there was like
Just
they showed
instantly dies.
it's like they just showed a couple things that were like, it just felt they weren't going here or there. They weren't picking the, okay, we're after American Idol, or okay, we're HBO Max. Like they weren't like
Yeah.
figuring out. And then the weird happy music that played while they were killing her,
yeah.
that felt out of place and weird too. Like they were just like, oh, here's a chance for us to be like, this is
It wasn't Reservoir Dogs
right.
stuck in the middle with you.
Yeah.
Like where that song is playing and this guy's cutting off pieces of this cop and you see
Right.
him cut his ear off. It wasn't like, it didn't deserve to try to do that contrast.
That weird. It should have just been like the classic, like in it's Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Remember, he's a TV like music producer. And
Uh-huh,
he's like,
yeah.
I know, dark ominous tones.
Yeah,
You know,
because
it's
he's
like-
doing the music for a
and
crime
he-
show.
Yeah, and it's just like, "Bah, bah, nah." Like that's all you had to play there, and
Yeah.
it would have played perfect instead of this weird like Clockwork Orange, American Psycho.
But even those movies do it better.
Well,
Do that premise better, I
right?
think.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. So it's like they just came out of the lane there a little bit. So
Yeah.
so yeah, what do you think? Overall, like, what's your biggest critique?
Here's-
Or is this
here's
kind of
The biggest critique I
Yeah.
have is that it wasn't f***ing good enough for me to be super excited about
Mhm.
watching the whole, like binging the season. Because that's
Mhm.
where we are nowadays. It's good enough that I would tune in next week
mm-hmm,
at 8 p.m. on a Thursday to see if it's a good follow-up. But
Mhm.
because the whole f***ing thing's out, I just got to see it as like, do I want to really sink
Mhm.
10 hours?
Right.
And it wasn't bad enough for me to just be like, oh, this is dog shit.
Right.
And so now I'm stuck. I'm just mad. I'm just
Right.
frustrated. I'm like,
you
know what? Fine. You got me. You
Yeah.
got my in your hand, and you're gonna yank me around, and I'm gonna, because you know what? I care about Peter. I do. I care about Peter. I want Gabriel Basso to get his moment in the limelight. He's good enough.
I want to see him land a shot.
He's above good enough. You know what I mean? Like you really do. I feel like I am rooting for him a lot. Like every time he's on the screen, I'm like, yeah, this guy.
Yeah, and like bringing back like just like the G-man that you root for.
Yeah,
you know, and so
very,
I like that.
Very kind of like almost. Did you ever see Kevin Costner as a bodyguard?
Yes.
It's another bodyguard
yeah.
movie. Or Clint Eastwood's one where it was like he was in the Secret Service. It was a movie. He was a Secret Service agent.
Yes, I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah. But it feels a lot like those movies where it's like straight cut, clean cut guy, straight edge. And I want to see him just have a good day. You know, I just want to see him succeed.
Yep.
And I feel like so far they haven't emasculated him by being like, you stupid fucking white man. Like,
right.
You know, like that hasn't happened yet. And I'm just like, it's refreshing that that's not happening.
Yep.
And so I kind of just want to give it a shot and just hopefully see him succeed.
I call this show like a Sunday nooner, you know, just like there's potential that I fall asleep, but like, I'm not like edge of my seat, you know, I'm just like, you know,
when I watched it today, I did watch, cause my work day is so early that like by the time I'm done with work, I have a good amount of time left before having to come here. So I was watching it at like 3 p.m. And it was so bright in my living room that I was just like, oh, it's so bright. I can't see what's going on. And then I realized by the end of the episode, I was like, I don't care what's going on. Like, I don't need to see what's going on. I'm okay if it's that bright. Sunday afternoon is a good one because if it's so bright you can't see the dark scenes, it's a show that you're like, I don't give a
but it's like it's entertaining. Yeah, you enjoy it. You wonder what's going to happen, but it doesn't have you, you know, totally enraptured. And so I think that's okay.
And I'll go down on this here. You know, I'll say, I want it to make me eat my words. Like I want to finish episode 10 and be like, hey, you know what? That was pretty awesome.
Because there's been a couple shows that have come out with these type of this show. Once again, it's based off of a spy movie, or it's based off of a thriller novel.
Oh, is it
put into a series? So some of those other ones that have come out, they've come out hot, and our expectations have been way up there, and they've left us hanging down.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Jack Ryan, Jack Reacher.
The Jack Reacher show for sure is the one that immediately comes to mind, where it was such a banger right out of the door, and then by the end of it, I just felt like I was on. I honestly like that movie, that TV show, gives me the same memories of like the same fever dream memories I have from being on Vicodin.
Oh yeah,
like it's just like what the happened? Like 6 months of my life is just a blur. Yep.
And so I think this one, it hasn't set the bar crazy high, but it could get somewhere.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. I'm giving it just a 1 thumb.
I'm not even giving it a thumb. And I'm giving it a no.
And I was actually.
I mean, I'm giving it a check it out if this is usually your thing.
Yeah, actually, you know, I'm sorry.
I'm not going to be upset if you don't like it.
I misspoke. I was planning on giving it a 0 thumbs. Same thing. It's just a neutral.
You were planning on it.
I was. I'd already decided before we got here.
But then you gave it a 1.
And then I misspoke because what I was going to say was it's a 0 thumb, but that's not a bad thing.
Exactly.
You know,
it's not a bad thing.
Go watch the first episode.
Yeah. And I'll say, I think Hung Chau is knockout. Like, I don't think her dialogue is well written.
Yeah.
But I think she is a great actress that she really delivers as the kind of like what's the word I'm trying to think of? Kind of like she gives really strong James Bond Q vibes.
Oh yeah.
Like she's surrogate mom, and he thinks she cares a lot about her, but at the end of the day, he might just be a means to just filling an empty spot in the White House, right? You know, and like he might be doing stuff that just is ultimately at the end of the day going to make her look good,
right?
As you know, whatever. What is it? She's staff, something staff. Chief of staff.
It's up there.
And so, like, I do like her character, and I don't trust her entirely. Like, she's playing it almost too clean, and I felt like that was like the thing that really made me want to keep on watching too. It was like, dude, is she just gonna use our boy?
Right.
Yeah. Is he just gonna have like sad like you used me?
Yeah. Yeah. She could end up being the bad one and not the other guy. We'll see.
I'll say that. I don't think he's a bad guy.
I think he's just the tough guy.
I think it's gonna try to make him look like a bad guy for like 5 or 6 episodes,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think he's gonna die,
Mm.
and then I think it's gonna be revealed she's the bad guy.
I think that's highly accurate.
Yeah, because I've seen the show.
Oh, really?
Now, I mean, in 5 other different metas.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Alrighty. Cool. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, Ken. We know this is like kind of on the long side of our first takes, but the beer was really good, and the show gave us a lot of joy for first episode, first take. So, let us know your thoughts on the Night Agent. Go ahead, leave a review for the podcast. Go ahead and share the podcast so that way I have an excuse to hang out with Craig and take him go karting and enjoy a beer. What is this beer, Pat?
This beer is Horse and Dragon's Midnight Stallion.
Exactly. Enjoy the Midnight Stallion. Whoa. Night Agent. Midnight Stallion. I see what you're doing here, dog.
Oh.
Till next time, folks.
Till next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.